Um, it's Phil, and so today we're looking at my story, Lissel the Gorgon. Um, and so yesterday we took a look at an essay that I wrote about my previous attempt to write this story. You know, and that may sound like a lot of navel gazing, and maybe it is, but I wrote that essay because I needed to figure out what the hell I was doing with this story. And that is that is something that is proper for an essay. One of the great uses of an essay is to figure out what the hell is going on. Okay. It's to understand things. So now we take a look at my story, Lissel the Gorgon. But before we do so, I do want to point out, as you can see, in the title of the document, I titled this PHC, Lissel the Gorgon. PHC stands for post-human condition. And the point of that is that post-human condition is the name that I've given this set of science fiction / fantasy / horror stories that I'm writing. And so the setting, for those of you who might not be familiar with the setting, let's see, the setting takes place. It takes place in the near future, and alien space gods come to Earth, or they reveal themselves. Yeah. So these alien space gods. Yeah. McGlenn, how are you? I was just talking about alien space gods. And I was also wondering if I started the stream half an hour early by accident, or did I say 9 o'clock before? I'm not quite sure. Yeah. Zolarpy. Okay, 3 minutes is better. I went ahead and talked to myself for 3 minutes. So that's good. By the way, I did that on the advice of Journey, who tells me that I shouldn't start the stream proper for a few minutes. I should give people a chance to come in. Okay, I did say 9 o'clock. Good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So since you all show up a lot, I wanted to run something by you. No, McGlenn, I'm doing pretty good. It's been a long day, but I'm gonna talk a little bit about the writing in a moment. But I'm thinking about switching my time from around 9 or 9:30 in the evening to somewhere between 8 and 10 in the morning. And the reason that I'm thinking of doing that is that this is actually a pretty inconvenient time for me. Basically, my wife, stays up later than I do, and then wakes up later than I do. So around this time, we often have like couples time or something. Yeah. So if I were to stream in the morning, then I would then I'd have this time to to spend with my wife or to spend with family, that kind of thing. And I'm pretty much going to do it. But, so probably next week I'm going to start streaming between like 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. and 10 a.m. Yeah. One side benefit of that is that I think I'll be able to stream even more. 3 days a week, which was basically like a compromise, anyways. But anyways, so that's one thing that's going on. And something else, I'd like to talk about what I did to write this first part of the story. And if you've been watching the stream, so McGlenn, go ahead and stay in bed. Just watch it in bed. That's fine. And to Larrapy, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that, dude. But yeah, you can always catch the VODs, and you can always chat with me after you've seen a VOD. Like send me a direct message on Twitter or something. Yeah. So anyways, one of the things that happened when I wrote this first part of the story is that and I'll show you. So the word count is 766 words, and that's actually more than I'm used to writing at a single sitting. Now I know that there's lots of people who can put out a lot more words than that. I've never been a particularly fast writer. When I cared about something, I can write quickly if I throw quality or taste out the window. But when I care about something, I tend to slow down. And I was, previously, like, I would write like 200 or 300 words at a time, and that would just drain me. And also, if I didn't feel like writing it, I would often not write. Yeah. So I actually feel really good that even though today I felt like procrastinating, I felt like doing other stuff, I went ahead and wrote that I wrote like many more words than I usually do. I think even just the little work, even just writing for this stream has improved my writing muscles, So I'm pretty happy about that. Now, of course, this is a first draft, and if you've seen me go through other stories, sometimes what's in the first draft does not survive, but that's okay. I had to write something. So Lissel the Gorgon, without any further ado. Lissel carried a thin backpack, jogged the 20 blocks from her tiny apartment in a neighborhood just out of downtown Fort Lauderdale to the Riverwalk in downtown Fort Lauderdale. It was a Friday night, the buses weren't running, and she didn't want to ask her new friends for a ride because she didn't want them to see where she lived. She felt bad for thinking they might judge her, but they were worshippers of the Dark Star, and sometimes religious people had the strangest criteria. Lissel was an atheist. She knew the gods existed, everyone did, but they seemed so alien to her that she didn't think her worship would make any difference. Would the gods lift a blanket of humidity over Fort Lauderdale, for example? Would they give her a raise? Of course not. So why believe in them, she wondered, if my life doesn't mean anything to them? Yeah. Despite these thoughts, Lissel was looking forward to meeting Bob and the others and hoped she would make a good impression. In her backpack, she had a change of clothes, a purse, and makeup, and a few other things. And so when she got close to Domingo's, the Spanish-themed tapas bar where they had planned to meet, she ducked into Delta, a New Orleans blues-themed bar, and went into the bathroom. It was packed, but she was able to get into the bathroom stall and change out of her sweats into a tight pair of jeans and a cute tank top with faux emerald sequins that matched her scales. She wore the tentacles on her head freely. Some Gorgons, as a matter of pride, went naked or nearly so, since scales covered their entire body, and unless they needed to use a particular part, it remained covered by the scales. Lissel did not have that sense of Gorgon pride. She thought it was too much, and she liked how she looked in jeans and a tank top. Oh, YouTube VODs do not show the live chat, so I have to repeat a question or comment for the VOD viewers. Okay. Got it. Yeah. Oh, well, I see what you're saying. So if I'm responding, if you ask me, like, where did this idea of the faux emerald sequence come from? I can't simply answer you. I have to say, oh, Zolarpy asked, where did this idea come from? And then I have to provide the answer. Got it. Okay. She finished dressing, left the stall, checked herself in the mirror, and applied various shades of yellow makeup to her cheeks, eyes, and lips. There, she thought. As she walked out of Delta and entered Domingo's, found her friends Bob and Angela, hugged them both, and sat down. Bob and Angela were young like Lissel, in their 20s. Bob had striped skin, dark brown and tan, but he dressed conservatively. Angela had no mutations, but she dyed her black hair purple and dressed garishly. Both had the symbol of the Dark Star, an 8-sided black star surrounded in a nimbus of white light, tattooed on their wrist. It started out as a fun night. Bob and Angela were dating, and they both complimented Lissel on her outfit, both volunteered to be her wingman. They insisted on paying for everything, and Lissel got a bit drunk, but not so drunk that she didn't notice that everyone who approached her or whom she approached had the same tattoo, and the small talk often veered into church talk, and since Dark Star scripture involved a Gorgon as a mother figure, Lissel got a lot of attention from people who felt as if she were blessed. And if they could just touch her scales or her tentacles, the Dark Star would bless them too. Lissel found Bob and Angela. This is all fucked up, she said. Then she went to the dance floor and began to dance by herself. Her plan was to dance a bit, work out her anger, and then go home. But the beat was cosmic, based on the emanations of quasars as interpreted by an electronica AI whose algorithm had been created through iterative exposure to Afro-Cuban rhythms. But there's also a singer with an agile voice that kept up with the beat. Lissel did not understand the words, but she was entranced by the effect, like a mouse entranced by a cobra. She was oblivious to all but the beat and the voice. At Bob and Angela's direction, the other worshippers gathered around Lissel, still giving her room to dance, but not more than that. They began to dance too, to drink more, to yell, to strip naked, to cut each other, to touch each other, to lick each other, to fuck each other. And in the revel, a bright darkness appeared around Lissel. She woke out of her trance and struggled against the invisible force, dragging her into the darkness. She screamed for help, but only Bob and Angela dared to approach her, and they pushed her in. Lissel had been taken by the Black Star. Okay, so, wow, 750 words goes fast. Let's see. But I also wanted to take a look. We'll talk about the story in a moment. But, sorry. Let's see. Look at this. No, gosh darn it. I'm trying to show you another story. Let's see. Is it getting to it? Yeah, the stars are all right. Okay. So I had mentioned the stars are all right as a as inspiration for this story. Oh, by the way, how egotistical is that? I inspired myself. That's yeah. But seriously, The Stars Are All Right was basically the first story I wrote in the post-human condition, and so we have this beach party, and that beach party has, compared to other beach parties, more drinking, more fighting, more nudity, more groping, more sex, and everyone chanting, "Fuck yeah, Heimar!" Heimar being the Cthulhu equivalent. And some of the partiers, they were not completely human, and so we see some of that. Yeah. So this revel in The Stars Are All Right is presented as basically fun. It is true that somebody gets raptured, but even when the person gets raptured and the stars are all right, what I say about that is that, people took that as an honor, that it's a good thing to be raptured by a god, yeah. Here we have something a little bit darker, and the dark, quite a bit darker actually, because Bob and Angela invite Lissel out, and I don't think I made it clear enough, and of course I have to rewrite this, but Lissel did not expect everybody to belong to that church there. Yeah, she didn't expect to be going to the equivalent of a church function, So she feels tricked, and that's why she confronts them. I initially had her say more stuff, but then I summed it up as this. I should have had a little more explanation there, but again, that'll work itself out in future drafts. Yeah, so she's angry, but she doesn't feel threatened. I don't know if any of you have ever been friends with church people, or more like acquaintances with them. Because some church people, that once people know you, they tend not to pull this stuff. But sometimes church people will treat acquaintances like this. Invite you to something fun, and it's really a church event in disguise. And that can be pretty damn tedious. And so that is how Lissel takes it. So okay. What she doesn't expect is the ambush. Yeah. This thing, being entranced by the effect, that was done on purpose. She doesn't realize what's happening, and again, Bob and Angela weren't just churchgoers; they were organizers, deacons, whatever you want to call them. Initially, I was thinking of introducing like a priest character, but then I'm like, what if it's Bob and Angela? Why not? Why not those two? Yeah, and so because Gorgons are special to the scripture of the Dark Star. By the way, that doesn't mean they are special to the Dark Star. It just means they're special to the scripture of the Dark Star. Bob and Angela create this environment in which Lissel can be raptured, taken away by the Dark Star. And would this happen? Would this happen all the time? Would this happen to anybody who was in that situation. I don't think the gods always come at the beck and call, and the stars are all right. I mentioned that it's something special that the gods show up. So what would have happened to Angela if the god had not shown up? I'm not sure. Would the worshipers have wanted to cut her into tiny little bits to take a piece of her home? Would the worshipers have wanted her to participate in the revels and then been upset when she didn't? Would they have tried to rape her themselves? If she didn't go along with them, or would they have just been understanding and let her go? I guess we'll never know. Yeah. Okay. So something else that I did here, and I don't know how many of you know Florida, but I based the last couple of stories on Central Florida. This one is in South Florida. I know downtown Fort Lauderdale. I know the Riverwalk, and the blanket of humidity is true. And the way that Riverwalk has like, I don't know, these tourist trap restaurants. I don't know what else to call them. Domingos, Delta. I'm not saying that I just made those names up, but you'll find restaurants like that there. I'm sure there's good mom and pop places too, but but Riverwalk's an expensive place, and so you got to have money, and you got to appeal to people, and you got to come up with a nice sounding name for your restaurant, and you got to theme it. Let's see, what else? I think I could have introduced a description of the Gorgons earlier, but that's something for the drafting. The cute tank top with the faux emerald sequence that matched her scales. If my wife were a Gorgon and she had a tank top, she would add faux emerald sequence to it so that they would match her scales. That's for real. That's let's see. And then I had to think about the makeup. It's funny, the stuff you don't think about when you don't have to write about it. Like when I was writing God Killer, I had to think about guns and who's wearing them and how they work, and that kind of thing. And in this story, because she's trying to make herself up to look nice, I got to think, what would look good on green skin, on green scales? And then thanks to Journey, I thought of the color wheel, and I thought, what complements green? And I believe some yellow would complement green nicely. Maybe blue too. Maybe some blue and yellow. Hope I'm right about that. Journey can correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. Yeah. And let's see, what else can I tell you? We see the striped skin again. Don't forget that in Burlap Daughter, the main character had striped skin, but it was different colors. I love that people actually, in real life, like, we could actually have striped skin in real life. We're not that far away from it. I think that'd be kind of cool. But yeah. And here, the fact that Angela feels a need to fit in, with Bob, or at least to match him in some way. Like, people are balancing their mutations and their looks. So Bob, because he's got striped skin, feels that that's cool enough and he can dress conservatively. And Angela, since she doesn't have the mutations, decides to go kind of punk. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah. So, one of the problems that I had writing this first draft, and is, what do I show and what do I tell? You know, like for example, I'm afraid it's too long. I know it's only 750 words, but what I really want to get to is the part where she's kidnapped. You know, so so it's possible that, like, I could condense all this stuff in my next draft and start around here somewhere, or maybe I won't. You know, those are some of the hard questions. You know, to me, it's kind of like cooking, and you know, and like knowing how much salt to put in. Oh, I'm like a new chef. You know, I'm not sure. I got to keep tasting. Yeah. Okay. So, I like this part a lot. This thing I'm going to keep. That the beat was cosmic. I think is pretty cool. I'm not sure if anybody's doing this in real life. I mean, I do know that there are scientists out there, maybe musicians too, who have, you know, recorded essentially the sounds of these interstellar objects, with, you know, or the sounds they would make if we could hear them, something like that. I think that's really neat. You know, but you know, but I did take it further. You know, instead of a DJ, there's an electronica AI. You know, I've heard people say of DJs that they don't really do anything. I'm not sure if that's true, but in this case, the AI replaces it. It is, so it plays electronica. Of course, it's an AI. It's based on science. That's another thing that works with an AI. But this thing, that the algorithm was created through iterative exposure to Afro-Cuban rhythms. Yeah. And so it's Lurpy. Thank you. Yeah. So like a entranced, like, oh, you're right, the double entranced. Yeah. How could I do that? I'll also show you something else. There's a lot that's not good. But sorry, there's a lot. Like if you watch, like when you watch Journey Draw, and you see him complain about like how long an arm is, and you don't see the problem, but he sees it. You know, it's that kind of thing. I'll tell you about a couple of problems in a moment. But this part I'm happy with. This part I highlighted. The algorithm created through iterative exposure to Afro-Cuban rhythms. What I like about that is that you know, we have what are essentially rudimentary AIs. You know, they're not sentient, of course, but we've been able to teach computer programs to do things that mimic human thought. Like, for example, there are computer programs that can grade particular essays. And the way that you do it is that you get humans, professors, to grade the essays first on a particular topic. And then, like after humans have graded like 1,000 of them, you feed those 1,000 or so essays on that one specific topic and the grades on various parts of the essay that the human professors gave to the essay, and you feed that into this algorithm, and then when you feed it a new essay, it does a pretty good job of grading. So I think that's pretty awesome. You know, I don't think it'll put me out of a job. You know, I'd be happy to have a computer grade my stuff so I could give students more feedback. But the point is, we can teach computers how to grade essays. That's pretty amazing. And so, can we teach them to make good music? They already know how to make music. Can they make good music? We could do the same process. We could expose them to like the best music, and then ask them to create something. You know, now maybe it would take more work, more powerful computers, maybe the next generation. You know, but it's there. You know, it's okay, Bobby. It's no problem. How you doing? Okay. Yeah. So anyways, I like the rhythm of this first part, but when I was reading it out loud, I hated the rhythm of this second part. You know, that's something else that's good though about reading something out loud. You hear things that are hard to see. You know, and so I'm gonna have to. Again, it's a first draft, so I got to work on it. Okay. Let's see. So anyways, Bob and Angela pushed Lissel in, and let me tell you one of the problems I had writing this. Yeah, so I had taken so long to get to the danger that Lissel is facing that that like I don't know, I was scared that I wouldn't be able to create the danger in the space that I had, you know, because I wanted to get to the danger relatively quickly. So because half of this is setup, half of it is, oh shit, something dangerous is going to happen. Yeah, and so that was a little scary for me as a writer. Yeah, and it was important for me that Bob and Angela and these worshipers be guilty. Now, and here I'm discovering my own fears. You know, remember that one of my criticisms of people who write Lovecraftian work is that they are taking Lovecraft's fears and making, and you know, just taking his, but not really putting in their own. You know, and so as I'm writing these stories, one of the things that I was afraid of as a writer is that I wasn't going to come up with anything scary. Like if I abandon Lovecraft's fears because he doesn't scare me, and I use his tropes of like alien space gods and cosmic forces and whatnot, but I don't have his fears, will there be other fears? You know, and you know, I think that in Burlap Daughter, that in God Killer, and now here, I think I am finding my fears, you know, and my fears are people. You know, my fears are humanity. You know, it's actually the fear that you see in a lot of zombie movies, where we're sure the zombies are scary, but watch out, for those, for those greedy, scared people who are really going to kill you or do worse. Yeah. So because like Dark Star, this other god, he's, these gods, so far as I've shown, they are not going around kidnapping people just because. They are being called, they are being summoned, and then they pay attention and they rapture somebody. So humans have taken the alien space gods and made them worse. Maybe we've done good things with them too. Maybe I'll write that story at some point. But we've made them worse. And that's like I said, my fear is us. I feel like we're our own worst enemies. Bob and Angela, supposed friends of Lissel, who summon an alien space god so that it can take her away. By the way, because they think that'll make the alien space god happy. They think that'll make Dark Star happy to have a Gorgon. They think they'll be blessed by giving Dark Star this Gorgon. They're assholes. Boy, I don't know if that'll happen, but if in the course of this story, Bob and Angela get turned to stone, I gotta say, good. So that's pretty much the end of this story. Sorry, the end of this first part. What's going to happen in the second part? Let me tell you, that's a hard question. I think she's going to have a horrible psychedelic experience with Black Star, and she's going to get out. I think I'm going to combine those two things. But that's just, I think. Like when I start writing it, who knows what'll actually happen. When that is the way that writing goes. Yeah. So that is about it. Again, to a recap, starting next week, and maybe sooner, but definitely starting next week, I'm going to be streaming in the morning instead of in the evening. Now you'll still be able to catch the VODs if morning's too early for you, but morning just makes more sense to me with my life, and like aligning my schedule with my wife, and I'll be able to stream more. So yeah. So I will see you in the morning, Monday morning, and possibly maybe over the weekend. I don't know. So, ladies and gentlemen, good night. I will see you later. It's been a pleasure, and I'm out.